doing? I hope you're doing so well. Today, we're going to be doing a 10-minute reading where we're going to be connecting in here and just doing a general message. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull um, two separate cards. So, we're going to pull some cards for it's like almost like divine mother type of energy for your like divine feminine side. And then we're going to pull some cards from the divine masculine, like God energy for your masculine energy and get some insight and clarity here. Okay. I'm feeling a little bit of fatigue in your energy. And I'm also feeling a little tired today myself, but I also know that this is some type of aspect of a message for you of really, really honoring your body. Maybe you're not getting as much sleep as you should. Maybe um, it's almost like this desire to find or excrete time in moments where your body just really wants to rest, but it's almost like you feel like there's not enough time in the day. So you're just like keeping yourself in this position of like, I need to just like expand this as much as I can or enjoy this as much as I can. Um, there's also this message a bit about like dissatisfaction or discontentment with the way things are currently. And it's almost like this thought process of like it's like you might be finding yourself becoming much more aware of the fact that this is an underlying issue, meaning like this is something that needs some type of solution, because you're expecting a solution that is maybe a physical change in your reality, which is really not going to actually hit the real reason to why you feel discontent with things in your reality. Um, so let's put some cards. Let's see what this is about. Um, let's see what we're gonna look first in like the 3D world. I'm gonna shift a little bit. They wanted me to shift a little bit of what it is that I was planning to do for this reading and instead just see what's going on. Okay, so in the 3D world, it's like you have this sense that things are hmm, asking you to really expand yourself, okay? And it's like this beautiful energy of like moving deeper into this exciting energy, this serendipity, this movement forward. Um but there also there's this sense of like accepting what is, and maybe that's really what this is it's like this underlying thing is the fact that you just kind of have to accept life as it comes. You know, it's not necessarily going to be something that you can control with the way that it shows up. I also am feeling with this grace card, I feel like there's this really strong message that this is from like the divine mother energy, that you really are going to have to allow yourself to feel more or experience more grace in your life. You know, to be able to really feel this energy often, you also know that it's going to ask you to really push limits on, for example, like, you know, let's say you are feeling down or whatever the case is, and you know what you need to do to get yourself out of that energy. And it's weird how sometimes it's almost easier for us to just stay in that frequency instead of taking the time away or to reflect or just taking a moment to come back to self. Um, there's this message of having to understand that you do have to accept that sometimes life is just not going to feel always great. And it's not because you've done anything wrong, and it's not because life is wrong, and it's not because, it's just kind of this unrealistic expectation that a lot is the like corporate too. Like it's like this idea of like this perfect aesthetic that we see online, perfect life that you see in movies and on reality shows, like all of this stuff, right? So it's kind of like this message of like they're wanting you to fully accept the fact that there are storms in life, right? And also, it doesn't mean that it's forever. It doesn't mean that it has to be the end all be all. Like I'm getting almost this energy of like if you're having a bad day or even just having a bad hour or moment, it's like your brain automatically goes to this energy of like this is how it's just going to be forever and I'd rather just give up or I'd rather just like be done with this. I'd rather just not deal. And I think because there's something about like this need for approval or validation. Like there's an internal young version of you that didn't get that at a young age. And it's almost like you're needing this from self, but it's almost like you can't seem to find a way to get it. And so you might be just stressing to try to find it outside of you. And it feels so like dissatisfactory because it's not meant to come from other people. So it's kind of like this energy of like you're trying to get it from other people and then you're left feeling like, okay, that was not what I needed. And then you start to feel like this shame and guilt because it's like they didn't give me the approval or validation that I wanted, first of all. Second of all, now I feel worse because I know I should have never even tried to go to them for that in the first place. And third, now I'm trying to create this scenario in my mind that's not actually real. Um, I also think that it's really important to know that like there's this deep understanding that the things that make you feel or the things that feel like they're the hardest to fit into your schedule are the things that you need the most. So it's like this idea of like I don't know if you're staying up late or I don't know what it is, but if you're feeling like this energy of needing to um like find time for yourself, you might be using your time in a way that's actually not fulfilling you. And so you're still like kind of feeling drained or feeling discontent or feeling just like out of it or lack. And it's because you kind of almost have moved back into an old way of being. I don't know if maybe like you went through a phase where you felt really, really good. Look at what you were doing in those moments and see. And also know that sometimes life, you just don't feel that great. And that's okay. You just have to honor it and you have to like honor yourself. And instead of like trying to make yourself feel better through other people and by like judging their emotions based on how you should feel, you should be really going within and trying to find that here within yourself. You know, um, I don't know, there's something like this interesting energy about like you don't have to find any of that outside of you. In fact, it's going to be really incredibly important that you honor what is in front of you and what it is that your energy really needs, but it's almost like you might struggle with knowing that. And so I've run a bit out of time, but if you're wondering like why this is, it's because you really were left out in like some deep spots by yourself for a lot of your life. Um, and it's so interesting because this says acceptance, and I was reading it the entire time about like needing to accept your reality, but this also is like you're almost needing acceptance, right? I was saying that too, this acceptance, approval. And then I just saw that and I was like, oh shit, that might be what they were talking about there. Um, I guess the question is how, and I wanna get into that and then I'll finish off this reading. So this is definitely a generational pattern. It feels very much like on the mother line, feminine line. Um, okay. So the way that you do this is by tapping deeper into your personal power. Um, when you feel like you have to look for acceptance and approval outside of yourself, that is telling there's a part of you that does not believe that you have enough power within yourself to give yourself that acceptance and approval. It's almost like you may not have been built up with confidence in your younger years, and so because of that you might find yourself falling into these patterns or these feelings where it's like you can't feel this way. It's not possible to feel this way. And the reason why you weren't given that personal power is because obviously generationally they didn't have it either. They didn't have this energy accessible for them. Okay. So I was asking how, and I got this. The blueprint is within you. Take the next step. And this to me just tells me that you do know how to give yourself validation and approval because you think that it's something more than what you already know how to do. But at the end of the day, you bring this to people at times, right? That need it. You also, um, although we're not supposed to be validating people, there's something about this feeling of like you know what it is that you need. And honestly, I feel like what it is that you need is truly this coming back to self. Um, an encouragement to self, accepting where you are and not trying to change yourself, you know? Like today I was feeling so tired and just out of it, not feeling the best, just energetically really low. Nothing is really going on except for the fact that I just don't feel that good. And it's almost like this message of just accepting that like I just don't feel that great instead of trying to like force myself to do things, force myself to be in a position where I do feel good. Like that's resisting how you actually feel. It's not honoring how you feel. It's basically telling yourself what you're feeling and what you're doing is wrong, so you need to change and do something differently. And that could be like what you experienced growing up. Maybe you were someone that had big emotions, very sensitive person, and you often were told, like, don't worry about that, or you're being too sensitive, or I'm going to give you something to cry about. Like you didn't have the capacity to fully feel. So now there's a part of you that's continuing that pattern, and it's really destructive. So I just encourage you deeply to really allow yourself to know that you know what to do to fulfill yourself. And sometimes I'll say this right now, and I feel this from experience, and also Spirit is saying this really loudly. When you're in that phase and you're just like, but I don't want to do anything. I know that if I got up and did some stretching or moved into my body or did some breath work or meditation or dance, that I would feel better. But it's like there's moments where you're just like, I don't even want to get up and do that. And those are the moments that you need to do it the most. And I know that it kind of goes against it's like, yeah, but I don't want to force myself to do something that I don't want to do. And also that part of you that is the driving force of like, I'm not seen, I'm not validated, no one cares, no one likes me, I'm left behind, blah, blah, blah. That part of you is the part of you that's wanting to just sit and sulk on the couch or in bed or on the chair. Okay. So there has to be that stronger power within you to pull yourself out of that, to get yourself into a position to do what it is that you need to do to move through what it is you're moving through and really give to yourself. Okay. So I hope this helped you. Just a quick little message I felt that I needed to bring forward. And yeah, I'll chat with you soon.